Hello and welcome everyone to the start of our afternoon sessions. In this session, Kaya Mo Bato, Harm Reduction for Stimulant Use, we are exploring the pioneering work of an organization in Vietnam for harm reduction responses to stimulant use. I am very honored to welcome again Dr. Khuat Taiwan, who was with us yesterday for Whole of Society Revisited, who founded the Center for Supporting Community Development Initiatives, a non-government organization working to improve the lives of drug users and individuals living with HIV. So for today, she will be our speaker, and we hope that you can get some concrete steps and inspiration from her work in Vietnam to responses here to stimulant use in the Philippines. Dr. Juan, please take the stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here with you this afternoon to share with us, to share with you some of our experience in harm reduction for stimulant user. So let me share with you our experience on intervention for stimulant drug. We start to think about this about 6 years ago, when the people from the network of people who use drug told us that many of their friends are now suffering from the consequences of stimulant use, and they become very concerned because when people are dependent on stimulant, they change their behavior, they change the way that they deal with people, and that really worry them. They become their behavior are not controlled. They have a psychotic episode where they become very violent, or some of them committed suicide because of depression. So we start to look for ways to intervene, to do the intervention on stimulant drug, and I think we are still learning, but the first result of our interventions is very positive. So we are confident to continue and to share with you some of the work we are doing. So in this presentation, I just want to share with you some of the thing about the context in Vietnam, the conceptual framework that we are using, and some of the program activity, and then to share with you, to introduce to you about the Hanoi Field Lab for stimulant, and then we can discuss about the lesson learned. So we are a country of 97 million people. I think we are probably around 100 million by now. The police register around 240,000 people who use drug. So the people who are registered by the police are the one who really have severe addiction and cannot hide anymore, has been arrested, has been to the compulsory rehabilitation center, been to prison for and having drug problem dependent. We crystal amphetamine, or we call it meth, crystal meth, become the most popular drug since last 3-4 years. Just quite recent, but it's grown very quickly. Now almost all the people who use drug use methamphetamine. So it is a very, very strong stimulant. It's probably the strongest. If you compare to amphetamine or ecstasy, crystal methamphetamine is the strongest, the most potent drug of the methamphetamine. There are different types of methamphetamine, but crystal methamphetamine, as you see in the picture, is the most potent drug, and is very popular. So the young people who start to use would some of them may start with cannabis, but then quickly move to methamphetamine. Even the people who use heroin before is now also using meth. Can be in the combination of heroin and meth. Even the patient on methadone are sometimes also using meth. So it's very popular. our police report the volume of methamphetamine that they say through arrest of drug trafficker is getting higher and higher. In the past, they would say confiscate 1 kilo, 2 kilo. Now it's 100, 200, 500 kilos of crystal methamphetamine. We are in the traffic route, so we have a plenty of drug in the country and plenty of meth. Um, so the thing that we are still a bit lucky so far is that most of people who use methamphetamine use it by smoking, and usually they smoke with water pipe, and they share the pie when they smoke. And the fact is that recently, in the last couple of years, there are some high-profile cases of violence due to meth-induced psychosis that shake the country, that really make people scared and giving people sense of insecurity, like the case of people who was so psychotic that they go on a killing of like 4 or 5 people in their own family, thing like that. It's make the public feel scared. It creating sense of insecurity, and it give weapon for people who want to have a harsh punishment to people who use drug. So the blame is not really on the drug trafficker, because there are so few of them, and people are executed for drug trafficking. But the blame, because there are more, the bigger number of people who use drug and they are more visible, so they got the blame. So it's there's a lot of harsh criticism and the request to have a harsh punishment to people who use drug, because they said methamphetamine is so dangerous to the population. Although there's only a few cases, but that's enough to make people worry and feel insecure. So that is the context where we are working. In reality, is that we see more and more people who use drug and now turning to meth, and people who use drug themselves, the community, they are concerned. So that's what we the context. So just a bit about my organization, just to explain why we are doing what we are doing. We are a local NGOs in Vietnam that we started in 2010, so it's 11 years ago. And our mission is to work toward an inclusive society in a sustainable planet. And our approach is people-centered. And people-centered mean once we start to engage with a population, we will try to work on aspect of their life, so as much as we can. So if we work with people who use drugs, it should not only about drug or HIV, but it's about their life. So that is our approach. So about their education, about their rights, about the HIV, about hepatitis C, about addiction treatment, about the access to the public welfare program, having identification paper, having a place to live, etc. So people who use drug is one of our priority population from the day zero of the organization. Even before we started the organization, many of us have worked with people who use drug. And at the bottom, you will see the 4 pillars of our strategy: social mobilization, community-based intervention, enabling environment and policy, and growing our team and network. And it is our team in Hanoi. We have an office in other places in the country, but it is a Hanoi team. That is our team, but our people is a lot more than that. We work a lot with the community, and including the people who use drugs. So we have a big community to work with. So back to the stimulant use. We've been looking for opportunity to work with the people who use stimulant, use methamphetamine, but it's very difficult to find funding to work on drug issue. Um, for HIV, it is the funding is only for people who inject drug. For those who don't inject, there's a very little opportunity to get HIV funding for them. The funding for to work on drug is we are not able to access to them. Basically, so but we are lucky that we was able to convince the French 5% initiative to fund our program that we call Saving the Future, to work with young people who use drug, to prevent HIV, but through a more comprehensive approach other than just to give a needle and syringe or HIV testing. So we start our program in 2016. So 5 years ago that we start to work with young people who use drug. So the picture here is the poster that we have for this project, because you can see here, said drug, there's young people, there's hallucination, there's love, there's sex. That is many things about young people who use drug. So this is our conceptual framework for this project. We are now on the second phase of the project, and because 5% initiative is about HIV, so we also do the intervention for HIV, but we also see that HIV intervention for this population is very important, because right now the use behavior, the way they use it is smoking, but we try to keep them not injecting, but we never know. The trend is it can come that people would turn to injection one day. So if we can keep HIV infection rates is very very low, or we can prevent HIV infection in this population, we will be able to slow down the infection if one day they turn to injection, because we know that once people start to inject, the infection can go very very quick. The HIV infection rate among this population is depending on where we are, but it can be very low. In the city where we have stopped HIV transmission among injecting drug user, is almost none, to 11% in some other place where we still have a high HIV infection among people who inject drug. So HIV infection is real, but it's also for prevention. And all these factors are relating to each other. We see the big, you can see the triangle here. In our work, we find the very important connection between childhood trauma with mental health disorder and methamphetamine use or drug use in general. So yesterday, many speakers have spoke about the social environment, the family environment, about the trauma that people experience that lead them to use drug or to continue to use drug. And we found that we did a lot of literature search, but we also look at our client, the people who participate in our program, and childhood trauma is a big factor. So there's, because of childhood trauma, people can use a drug to cure it, to make them feel better. to make them feel less suffer. But childhood trauma can also lead to mental health disorder, depression, anxiety, etc. And there's a strong connection between mental health disorder and methamphetamine use. I think we all know that the mental health disorder can lead to people using drug to make them feel better, and then the drug use can trigger some of the underlying mental health problem that wasn't manifested before, but because of the stimulant use, it become visible. Or the med use can lead to some mental health disorder. Hallucination is quite common among this group, for example. So this triangle is critical and it's a part of our intervention. And then we also know that the methamphetamine use can lead to the impairment of judgment, make people, the judgment of people is less clear, is less good, or it can stimulate them so much that they can have unsafe sex. Mental health disorder and childhood trauma also contribute to unsafe sex. And then we have a low treatment adherence under the influence of med use or mental health problem. It leads to treatment failure. It leads to HIV infection. And we also know that from the pathogenesis, the people who use methamphetamine will be more susceptible for HIV infection. So the same prototype of people, but for the one who is methamphetamine, their body become easier to be infected, easier for HIV virus to enter, and they also have a higher treatment failure than the people who don't use methamphetamine. So this is our conceptual framework, and based on this we develop the intervention to address these risk factor relating to meth use. So if we want to reduce HIV infection, we need to address the issue of meth use. We need to address the issue of unsafe sex. We need to address the issue of treatment failure. If we want to reduce the mental health disorder, we need to address the med use as well. And if you want to reduce med use, we need to address the mental health. We need to address the childhood trauma. So there are these are the intervention. You will see that we do the intervention on drug use. So the intervention directly to control or to reduce the harm of drug use. We do the intervention on mental health to help people to reduce drug use, but also to deal with the consequences of drug use, and intervene on the childhood trauma, try to heal their childhood trauma so that they don't have to use drug for that. So this is our framework. And here are some components of ATS harm reduction that we've been doing. So we have a T-shirt for our program, and it printed at the back. I should have taken the photo. This slogan: eat, drink, sleep, repeat. So what we see, what often ties that when people use stimulant, they are so excited, they are so stimulated, they forget to eat, they lost the appetite, they don't want to eat, or they forget to eat, but usually they lost the appetite, they don't want to eat. So some people, that some people use stimulant to lose weight because they don't feel hungry, they don't want to eat. They are very active. There's a increase of metabolism. So the body temperatures increase a little bit. They are highly hydrated. They are easily hydrated, but they forget to drink. And when they are so stimulated, they don't sleep. So people can go in like 1 week without sleeping. So the first thing when we come to them is to make it easy. So eat, drink, sleep, eat, drink, sleep, eat, drink, sleep, brush your teeth. So here, drink, eat, and hygiene, brush your teeth, because they lost their saliva and it can damage their teeth. This is easy to understand. It's not always easy to do. So our peer educator, we need to sit down with them and then discuss with them about what to do to be able to eat, drink, and sleep. Make sure that people eat before they use. They eat regular. They try to eat the food. They bring the food with them when they use drug. So the food should be available there. They should drink a lot. They should bring a lot of water with them. Should have a water next to them when they use, because when they use and drug use is illegal, so they want to hide. They don't want anybody to know that they use. They don't want to go out when they use, so they need to have a food and drink available next to them so that they can eat and drink. And sleep, we talk to them about not using close to the time of their normal sleep. If they sleep at night, not to use in the evening, or to use it not on a Sunday evening, but on a Friday evening, so they can sleep after they use. So this simple harm reduction, and it is very critical. Because people gone crazy because they don't sleep, or people can have a heart attack because they don't drink enough. So that is the first and the most important harm reduction message that we use. Then we teach them some of the technique for self-soothing, to calm them down, for them to be aware of their situation. For example, to control hallucination and anxiety. For them to be aware, to have it is a kind of cognitive behavior, that for them to be aware that when they use, they would have a hallucination, they would have an anxiety, they would think of the thing that they usually don't see. So for them to be aware of that and try to control that. Then the technique of self-soothing, to calm them down and to connect to reality. When you have a hallucination, you may get out of the reality. So how to connect to reality, so that you are not drawn into, pulled into the virtual world that the drug have brought you into. So the technique that is not easy to train and to practice, but people start. And then to control the use. So we know from the Australian experience that if you use more than once a week, you put a food into the addiction category. It will not difficult for you to stop after. So that's, we share that information with with our client, saying that try not to use more than once a week. You should reduce, you should control it, not to go more than that. If you don't want to be addicted, then try to control the use. That seems useful. Quite about like 1/3 of our client have reduced the use from more than once a week to the once a week or less. So that seems to work. And then the harm reduction of the use mode. Right now, as I shared with you, most of them using through smoking, but they smoke with a pie that they share. So they share the pie among themselves. They put the pie in a water, can be a water bottle or just a bottle, a glass bottle that have a water inside, and they have one pie and they share the pie among one another. And we know that it's when they smoke and they burn the drug, so the pie, the glass pie become very hard and it's burning. It can burn their lips, it can make their lips crack, and through the crack is they can be bleeding and can lead to HCV transmission. And sharing the pie can also increase the risk of transmitting TB. So we encourage them not to share pie, but we also give them the lip balm so that they can protect their lips, and again drink a lot of water. The key the message also that repeatedly, like, don't inject. We are still in a we have a opportunity, because when we start this project and we did the assessment with young people, they consider the heroin injector like junkie. They don't want to be like that. They don't want to be like the people who inject and become their image is negative, so they associate that with injection. And they, because using, you don't use drug to look bad, you use drug to feel good, to be to connect with your friend, to be a hero among your friends, so you don't want to look bad. So people, they themselves say don't inject. And we, of course, we don't exploit the image or the perception of people about the people who inject drug, but generally the perception among the people, the young people who inject drug, is that if you the people who use drug, young people who use drug, is that if you inject, you don't look good. So that is it's, I mean, we are so far they don't inject. And then the other harm reduction is to control the damage by risk behavior. Some people, when they are high on stimulant, they can have a very risky behavior, like injure themselves. They cut their own skin, for example, cut their wrist, cut their or to poke them their skin with needle, thing like that. So we our peer educator discussed with them so that they don't keep any object, the sharp object, for example, around them. And some people, when they are high, they have the hallucination that they have an insect underneath their skin, so they poke their skin to remove the insect. So that is, then they know that is not true, but that is too late. So we discussed to see what happened to them when they are high, when they are intoxicated, and then discuss with them about way to control the risky behavior. So these are the component that we are using so far. The message is that you need to, of course, we would say better you stop, but if you cannot stop immediately, or you don't feel like you want to stop now, make sure that you are healthy, you look good, you don't go crazy, you don't harm yourself. It seems to work with quite many of them. So the most difficult things, I mean, training people on these component it's not easy. I mean, it's a process for the peer educator to be able to master the skill to discuss and to train the client. But one of the challenges is that how to reach them, how to reach those people and build the connection with them. And so we use outreach approach using peer educator, and most of our peer educator are the people who use drug themselves. Many of them use meth or other drug. We also outreach to other key population like sex worker or MSM, transgender people, and we have the peer in those key population to outreach to them. So it seems to work. We develop quite a number of materials for this population. From the one in the middle here with the pie is harm reduction. This information about drug. This is about mental health. And these are some of the our material. We have more than this. We have a Facebook page. We have a website that provide information. We have a hotline. So in Vietnam, there is application called Zalo. Zalo is similar to WhatsApp or to Signal. In Vietnam, but it's a Vietnamese application. So we have the Zalo hotline that people can call, can chat, can send picture. We can show video on Zalo that we use to communicate. So the material is used to train our peer educator, but also for our peer educator use it to communicate with the client. So there are different intervention, and one of the intervention, as I mentioned to you, is the intervention on childhood trauma. We work on what we call the adverse childhood experience. The adverse childhood experience have a huge implication on people's life and behavior, and many of the clients that we approach, that we engage with, have a childhood trauma, have a adverse childhood experience. And this is a group of clients in Hanoi. So some of them, I mean, they are all young, they are all under 24, but some of them are already have children. Some of them have children at their 15, 16. The people here, some of the girls here already have a kid. Some of them have been going through the detention of prison, kind of juvenile prison. And they most all of the people in this picture, they agree for us to use the picture, but all of them have a childhood trauma, with the parents in prison, with the parent divorced in a very violent, aggressive divorce. There's a domestic violence in the family, living on the street, etc. So we are using art therapy to try to heal their experience, to make them feel better about themselves. And it seems to they really enjoy it. So here I put engagement and healing. So it's not only about healing, it's about engagement as well. People are connected to each other and to us, and they feel not they feel less lonely. They feel more confident to live their life, and they need less drug to feel okay. So I share with you the harm reduction part. That is the more comprehensive stimulant intervention that we are doing. That we have the outreach strategy. So as I mentioned, we have a tailored outreach strategy for different group who use med. We have a commodity and counseling. Commodity here is like the pie that they can use individually, the lip balms, condom. So that they can use. We encourage them to bring condom and lubricant with them when they go to use drug, because they normally they don't use alone, they use in a group. So they can have because many of them have reported group sex afterward. So we want to make sure that these commodity are available. And then counseling, a lot of counseling for individual, because each person have a different needs, including mental health and others. And and then on these HIV, HCV, HBV, STI counseling and treatment and care, including pre-exposure prophylactic PrEP. And we train our outreach worker on motivational interviewing. We do IEC material and behavioral change. We do contemplation group and community section. So you can see in the picture earlier that we do have a group, contemplation group of people who want to reduce the use, and we organize this so people can share. It's not exactly AA or NA, but it's more the group to share, to support each other, and to learn together. And the last component is community mental health response. As we can see that the percentage of the people who have mental health issue is very high. We did a survey among 300 client people who use stimulant in Hanoi, and about 60% of them having some mental health problem, from anxiety, depression to hallucination, and other mental health issue. So this stimulant intervention, and we bring this into a lab. So let me share with you this. So stimulant intervention in Vietnam is still new. So we are, I think my organization is probably, I shouldn't say the only one, but one of the very few organization that work on stimulant intervention. And even in our organization, we only work in 7 out of 63 provinces now. And it's stimulant intervention is not as straightforward as injection harm reduction. Of course, injection harm reduction is not easy thing to do, but it's because of the commodity part of it, like don't share needle or go for OST. The intervention for injection has been much further developed and easy, more straightforward than stimulant intervention. So we think that people who are who work on stimulant intervention will need more training and practice than the people who do injection harm reduction. So that's why we create a field lab in Hanoi where people can come and can be trained and learn how to work with stimulant user. So we work with Mainline. I guess many of them already know Mainline. It's an NGO in the Netherlands that specializes on working with people who use drug on drug issue. So we've been very lucky to have their collaboration and support to work together to create this FinLab in Hanoi. So this FinLab is offer opportunity for people to come and to be trained, and we was hoping that we can train not only people in Vietnam, but we are hoping that we be able to open the FinLab for the college in the region. We plan to do an online section in June. So if you are interested in, we'd be very happy to have you participate in the online section, and we can do a hybrid training with online and practice. So the Stimulant FinLab, that we hope that people can learn the knowledge, the essential knowledge and skill to organize and deliver service for people who use stimulant drug. So it's not only like lecture. It's also about skill. It's also about how to discuss, how to organize a program, and how to deliver service for them. So far we have got the training package ready. We have trainer at SCDI. We have two international trainers that train by mainline college, and the mainline trainer was so happy with our trainer, because they are very skillful, and they've been practice a lot, train a lot. We have in Hanoi, we have the community-based organizations, CBO, the community-based organization, and with the outreach worker who are trained. So the CBO, SCDI don't deliver service directly, but we support the CBO to deliver services. So the CBO, we have CBO in Hanoi that deliver services to stimulant user. So they are there. They can be the demonstrator, but they offer the film for people to expose and to learn. They have a client who use stimulant drug, and in different key population, like transgender people who use stimulant, gay people who use stimulant, sex worker who use stimulant, people living with HIV who use stimulant. So with this, the people who come for training will have an opportunity to interact with these clients and learn from them. We have SCDI have an online training platform provided by ECO. If maybe some of you who work on the medical or health education probably heard about ECO. It's a big program that provide online platform for training, that can store material, video and presentation and article, but we can also organize simultaneous translation. So we was when we organized this FinLab, we think that because of COVID, people cannot come. Initially, we was hoping that we can host people from the Philippines, Myanmar, Thailand, and others to come to be on the site, but because of COVID, so ECO will give us a tool to be able to interact with simultaneous translation. And then we have other platform that we can use, Facebook live stream or website or our YouTube channel. So here's some picture. This is the classroom. So we organize the training where people learn about stimulant, how it work on your brain, etc., and different technique and skill. And then people go on the field work to really go with the outreach worker, meet client where they are, where they prefer, and practice the skill that they learn in the classroom. So we was hoping that we can offer stimulant FinLab to EU as well, to the Filipino college, and then we can learn together from there. I have to say that it's not a perfect complete work. We are still learning, but it's I feel like we are privileged enough to be supported to go maybe a bit earlier than some other college. So we have the responsibility to share what we learn. So that's it. I will stop here, and if the organizer can have to play the video, um, um, it's 7 minutes video about the client of our stimulant intervention program. Um,
Hi, Oanh.
yep.
It's Lee. So, what we're thinking right now, since we have a bit of a time for the Q&A, we were
Yes.
thinking since the link is available, the audience can take a look at it later. But in the interest of time, maybe we can go to the Q&A first, the
Yes.
question and answer. That's all right. Okay.
Okay. All
Thank you
right.
very much, Juan, for that very interesting presentation.